What happened to NewJeans? What's going on Danielle's side? Lately, things have genuinely been chaotic. Come on, friends, let's separate rumor from fact and shed light on this issue from beginning to end, together with clear sources. In the K-pop world, there are certain major crises, some that explode loudly, and others that are discussed at length over time. The NewJeans ADOR situation is exactly the latter. While the group was shaking up stages on one hand, what was happening behind the scenes quietly grew, and in the end, this situation became associated with a single name: former NewJeans member Danielle. When NewJeans debuted in 2022, they weren't just a new group, they were a fresh wind in the industry and a unique aesthetic on stage. Their global success was repeatedly emphasized by the industry press. However, toward the end of 2024, serious tensions began to surface in the relationship between the group and ADOR. On November 28, 2024, the group members announced that they had terminated their contracts, but ADOR argued that the contracts were still valid and took legal action. Meanwhile, another development constantly discussed in the K-pop public sphere was ADOR obtaining a court ruling that blocked NewJeans members' independent activity. At the beginning of 2025, the Seoul Central District Court ruled that the NewJeans members must fulfill their contractual obligations, and this decision halted the group's ability to carry out independent commercial activities. The fracture within the group became even more apparent as members made different decisions. Some members began returning to ADOR. Harin and Hyein decided to return first, followed by Hani. However, Danielle's situation diverged. Toward the end of December 2025, ADOR announced that it had terminated Danielle's exclusive contract as of December 29, 2025, and released an official statement saying that it is no longer possible for Danielle to remain in NewJeans or at ADOR. The Times of India. This was not a simple separation. The legal side of the incident hit the agenda like a major bombshell. On December 30th, 2025, ADOR officially filed a compensation lawsuit with the Seoul Central District Court, including not only Danielle but also her family and former ADOR CEO Min Hee-jin in the case file K-WaveWorld. According to the lawsuit, ADOR is seeking approximately 43.1 billion Korean won in damages and penalties for breach of contract from Danielle and the other defendants. This amount is considered quite high in the context of the Korean entertainment industry, and legal commentators state that it represents a total covering both punitive penalties and claims for damages arising from the contract. KED Global Korean Broadcasting System, KBS. According to reports shared globally by KBS, ADOR stated that through this lawsuit, it intends to place responsibility for the contractual crises that have occurred since NewJeans' formation on Danielle and related parties. KBS-World, there is an interesting detail here. Some legal experts say that not only the claimed 43.1 billion won, but also based on the penalty clause formula in the contract, the penalty could rise to a much higher level. For example, some assessments have claimed that this type of punitive compensation could reach around 108 billion won. However, this figure has not yet appeared in official filings. It is merely a possibility discussed in legal analyses. Gulf News. According to official documents and reports from news agencies, ADOR's lawsuit essentially includes the following allegations: that Danielle acted in violation of her contractual obligations, entered into conflicting agreements with third parties, carried out independent activities, and damaged the reputation of ADOR and NewJeans. The termination of Danielle's exclusive contract and the subsequent lawsuit are considered one of the most critical turning points in an idol's career. Official statements make this clear. ADOR expressed the contract termination decision and the compensation lawsuit in official company announcements, and the legal process is still ongoing. The Times of India. Netizens immediately split into two opposing camps. One side argued that it's natural for an artist to want to determine their own career path, while the other maintained that contractual obligations are a serious burden and can have legal consequences. These differing views further fueled debates in the media and on social platforms. Meanwhile, NewJeans' past began to be re-examined in light of this situation. Toward the end of 2024, the group had applied to terminate its contract with ADOR, but the court decided to reject those requests. This was an important detail showing just how complex the company-group relationship had become. Throughout the legal process, Danielle continues to be associated with the name of the group she has severed ties with. Because this is not just a contract lawsuit, it has become a new point of discussion regarding K-pop's contract culture, idol rights. At present, the case is still ongoing in ADOR, and the date of the first hearing has not yet been finalized. However, according to official documents and reports from news agencies, ADOR's claim for $43.1 billion won in compensation appears likely to remain on the agenda throughout the legal process. These developments reveal the realities behind the scenes of a global phenomenon like NewJeans. They show how fragile contracts and legal balances can be behind the bright lights on stage. And this story will remain an important turning point not only for Danielle, but also for the future of the K-pop industry.